This porn session is sponsored by My Next Mattress Outlet, located at 5945 Cliffdale Road in Fayetteville, North Carolina. When it comes to making sure you always have the best night's sleep, My Next Mattress Outlet is always here to help. Make sure that you check them out. You will not regret it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's Lenore Pours Pouring Session. And we have a great guest on this evening, Madonna. Welcome, Madonna.
Thank you, Lenore. It's so nice to be here with you on this way, at least in person.
Absolutely. So we're excited to have you. But before we get started in this porn session and conversation, I just want to bring to everyone's attention some services that Lenore Pours platform offer. We offer porn session and services to include coaching services, career readiness services, speaking engagements, ministry, worship, and also real estate needs. So if you are in need of any of those things, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can email me at lenora@lenoralassiter.com, or you can visit my website, www.lenoralassiter.com. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us. And we're just going to get started. Madonna, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, a little bit about myself. Right now, I live in the island of Hawaii with my family. I get to work with the population, which we call the severe persistent mental illness population. So I have the opportunity to meet them where they are mentally, financially, socially, relationally, everything, and help link them to live a better quality life.
All right, great. So Madonna, I'm just going to read off a few of our viewers who is on this afternoon. We have Brianna. She is here. And also Jay. Good evening, Jay. Mabel is on, and Jay says, "Hey, Madonna." So Jay is the one who put together the beautiful flyer that you're featured on. So he does most of my graphic work, and I'm excited that he is on this evening. So just to get started, Madonna, of course, you and I, we have conversations all the time, and I just love your advice. I love your energy. I just love who you are. I mean, you're just a great person to be connected to. Now, throughout one of our conversations, we were talking about how hurt people. But you stated people address it from that standpoint, hurt people. But what about healed people heal people? So talk to us a little bit about that particular cliche that you developed.
So I remember when I first heard that hurt people, and there's a part of me that I got irritated about that because it almost seemed like it was an excuse or gave them license to hurt people. And then I thought about, well, when you're hurt, normally people want to go and get healing. Normal people want to be healed. So I have found that there are some people who are addicted to being hurt. That's their platform that they use to get things, or that's all they know. And so when I thought of that, being healed, goes a long way, and only healed people can heal people. And that implies that the ones who were healed, because they've been hurt too. And it's a choice to want to be healed. It's a choice to go and get healing from people who are experts at helping people in healing. And it's hard to know or to even fathom that there's people out there that don't want healing. That they don't want it.
So why do you think that some people just don't want healing? They don't have a desire in being healed?
From experience, I've learned. So, for example, physical pain. Oh, I've been to this doctor, I've been to that, nothing works, I'm still hurting. Okay, so then we go deeper into this. So then what's your diet like? What is your hydration like? Do you get sunshine? Do you exercise? How's your sleep hygiene? All of that comes into the physical part of pain. What are you thinking? Or who are you talking to? What are you taking in from programs, from people who you listen to, from reading? You know, all the senses I try to find out from what you see, what you smell, what you hear, what you feel, what you taste, all of that comes to it. And I feel like they don't want it because it takes work, right? It takes work, it takes submission that somebody else knows better than you do about why you're feeling sick. It takes humility. It can take money. It takes time, right? It, you know, and healing and getting better is not easy. And I have found that for some people, it is easier staying sick or ill and talk about it rather than to work towards healing. It takes,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. So when someone comes to you and they're seeking some type of advice, maybe how to deal with conflict within their relationship or within, their family. Let's take it step by step. If someone comes to you and say, "Hey, Madonna, I am in a relationship and I'm trying to handle conflict between me and my spouse." What are some strategies would you give that person on how to handle conflict between them and their spouse?
Okay, so what I like to do, and I like to be honest, is to say there are always experts out there because I don't claim to be that expert. I have found that people would come to me because I would keep things confidential, right? I
Mhm.
value confidentiality. So that's one of the main things that I've learned why people approach me. So I had to learn, okay, well, then if people are approaching me with these deep questions, then I better have an answer, right? To try to
Right.
figure things out. So as far as spousal conflict, I have learned, Lenore, that part of it is because miscommunication
Mm.
and lack of self-awareness. And it's so funny, okay, because we speak English, right? We
Right.
read English, we write English, we speak it, but for some reason there's a disconnect when there's a communication. And it's reminding me of John Maxwell. I believe he wrote a book on everybody communicates, few connect. And when couples have this disconnect or a conflict, it just means things need to slow down and sit down, and one will talk and the other will listen, the other will talk, the other will listen. And it won't, depending on the depth of this conflict, it won't happen. Um, the resolution won't happen that day, right? So sometimes there's a pressure to, we need to resolve this today, right now. And in fact, we may have a plan to move forward, but the feelings are still lingering. And so now there's no
Mhm.
belief that we have overcome this conflict. Now those feelings are just personal. So there's I have found it's lack of communication and lack of self-awareness. One is dealing with both, one is individual. Like, there's self work to do. We have a lot of work to do on ourselves before we try to work on other people.
So how does one improve their communication with
So,
their spouse?
yeah, the number one thing that I've learned, and because I noticed that you and I are the same, and that we're good listeners. Um, Number one, I've learned as long as I'm talking, I'm not learning anything. And
Hmm.
so this is uncomfortable for me because I'm more of a learner. Like, I would stay here and listen to you all day, Lenore. Like, all day. I would love that. And then for me to talk is like, yada yada yada. So what have I learned, right? So that number one is to be quiet. And number two, I've learned is to repeat what that person said, because we can get into semantics, like, well, you use this word, you use that word, did you mean this? And that's communication. That's fine. And I feel like some people, they get that idea that if it gets heated or they get irritated or upset, that it's not working. It's okay to get upset. It's what you do with it that is not
Wow.
okay, right? It's okay to feel irritated and say, you know what, right now, what you just said really irritated me. So I need to just figure out where that came from. Because what I've learned and found is sometimes it's the past and it still comes up today because it wasn't resolved back then.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's powerful.
Yeah.
So if we don't resolve some of the things of our past and communicating with our spouse, it can somehow come up again. So it's very important that when we have an issue, that spouses sit down and they talk and they have a conversation to address the issue. Because when you allow it, and I'm going to give a disclaimer, I am not a relationship expert, but I can offer some advice. When you allow it to just build up, then it's like a volcano. It erupts, and all of a sudden, when a conversation comes up, then you bringing stuff from 1922 to from the 1950s, 1960s, 80s, 90s, and you're like, what in the world? You know, how long have you been holding on to this stuff? So it's very important, as you stated, to communicate and make sure that, you know, you resolve the issue. And as you stated earlier, the issue may not be resolved that particular night, but hopefully within that week's time frame, the issue would possibly be resolved. So we have a couple of comments here. Joshua says true, and Mabel also said yes, so true. Wilma says real talk. And Sherry is working the course of Lenore Poor's page, and she's saying share, absolutely share this podcast. So Madonna, you touched on an issue in regards to handling conflict with your spouse. What about conflict between a parent or parents and a child? Can you elaborate on that a little bit? How to handle conflict between a parent and a child?
Okay, so I have found with that's like that's a beautiful bond in a relationship, and the parent is the one that's leading or creating that type of atmosphere for the relationship with the child. So I've learned that rules without a relationship equals rebellion. And so when parents want to give rules and there's no emotional bonding, meaning checking each other's feelings and thoughts, taking the time to hear a child out, can lead to rebellion in that you and I, as adults or people as parents, we've lived our lives, but our children's lives are unfolding. So they have nothing to compare it to. And part of what I found parents are at fault is an expectation that they never communicated with their child about. Um, or perhaps a child seeing the way the parent behaves in the home does not match what goes on outside the home. And so now the child is trying to figure out, who is my parent? You know, what is going on? And so when a parent absolutely knows who they are, they have this self-awareness, they have this state of being the same in and out the house. I believe and have seen and found that those relationships between a parent and child are much more harmonious compared to those where the child cannot figure the parent out and the parent can't figure themselves out, and then is going to try to tell the child what to do. And yet their lives are like all over the place. And so we cannot fool our children. You know, our children will tell on us in a heartbeat. And
Yes.
they're so innocent, right? You ask them when they're young, what's going on? They would say it. My mommy this, my mommy that. They will say words that people never thought is probably spoken in a household. Well, that's how my mom and dad talked. So they're like recorders that go off and you never press play. So we always have to be careful. You know, they tell on us. They are the, what do you call, the measurement of how each household runs. So I like to look at the children, not the parents. I look at the children.
That's good. That's good. And I like what you said. You said rules without a relationship is rebellion. So it's very important that parents or a parent build that relationship with their child, because if you don't have that relationship, sometimes, like you stated, if that relationship is not there, that child is in a constant rebellion state. Now, I know there's other reasons out there, audience. Don't, don't beat me up for that. I know there's many, many reasons that causes rebellion, but she was just stating that it's so important that parents build that relationship. So Mabel said, communicate and resolve. We must be willing to open up and talk things out. And that is very, very important, because a lot of people, they don't want to talk about it. And of course, I know you have to be in the right mindset to talk about certain issues, to address certain issues, because to me, if you fired up and you upset and then you're trying to address an issue, what happens is both parties are screaming and one is not hearing the other, vice versa. So it's very important to be in that mindset, in that space where you can actually say, okay, let me just calm down and let's revisit this maybe in the next hour or two. Because if you're yelling, this person can't hear that person. So Madonna, talk about when a person yells. Why does a person feel the need to yell?
So I love your question, because what I've learned is, I've read and learned, and I've experienced it for myself and seen it in others. Is the reason why, even though you're close to each other, people yell, is because they feel so apart. They feel so far apart that they have to yell in order to come across with their thoughts and their feelings. And so I have learned that when somebody's yelling, I remind them, I'm right here. I'm trying to connect with you and hear you. My goal is to understand you. And that helps to diffuse, the yelling and the frustration. For example, when children yell, they feel disconnected from their parents. They don't understand what's going on. And so we explain to them, or we teach them not to yell. So when they become adolescents into adulthood, if they never learned to express how they feel, they will always yell. So it's almost like reminding them, you're yelling. Do you feel far apart from me? Do you feel like I'm far apart from you? And more than likely they'll say, yeah, I feel like we're just not close. Okay, well, in proximity as far as physical, we're very close. Emotionally, we're far apart. So let's bring our emotions so we can be emotionally close or have an emotional relationship. Too many people have physical relationships, but not emotional relationships.
So talk about that, Madonna, because people know what a physical relationship is. So elaborate on that emotional relationship.
Yeah, so I'm let me give you the backdrop of this, is working with young women who want to be in relationships, right? And from that book, Every Woman's Battle, I have learned that wherever the girl's or the woman's heart goes, her body follows. And so then she gives up herself physically, but then emotionally, she has all this baggage, if you will, or all these unresolved emotional problems that become outbursts later, whereas normally a man cannot figure out, like, what is going on here. Well, because the physical part became the priority for this couple rather than the emotional. Then now, if they're in a deeper relationship, meaning lengthwise, meaning children came in a picture, or a marriage, or now having met each other's families, they know each other physically, but emotionally, they're still uncertain. They still don't know where they stand. And I have found that's where most of the conflict comes from, is because these emotions or these feelings inside have never been addressed, have never been talked about to the person in their past who needs to hear it, not the spouse. Not the spouse.
Wow. And Madonna even said that. She said, excuse me, Brianna. Brianna just said, wow. And she also said, that's deep. So I just have to say, poor sister, poor. You are pouring. Wow, that is so deep, because so many people become physically, connected. And that emotional piece is just not even met. So that's very, very key. That's very key. So thank you so much for that, Madonna. I love that. Now, I want you to talk about dealing with childhood trauma. How can a person overcome childhood trauma, and why is it necessary to heal from childhood trauma? Or it can be adolescent trauma. It can be trauma from different stages of life. How important is that?
Wonderful question. So to get on that, you reminded me of, they call the ACEs test, ACES, Adverse Childhood Experiences Survey, and it is free. It's online for anybody here who wants to take that survey. I can even share with Lenora later the link. And what it does is it provides circumstances or situations, and you assess whether or not, by numbering, if you have experienced that. And based on the total, it'll tell you whether or not you have experienced trauma. Now, on that note, from what we've read and found, every single child has experienced some type of trauma within their 10 years, of course, living in a home. I have not met anyone who has not experienced trauma. And as far as overcoming it, is a whole nother level of healing, which is what I want to go towards. So helping somebody heal from it or overcome it is to gently address the concern with somebody that you recognize something is not right. Or I notice when I say this, it's like I touched an open wound. Or I notice when I do that, it triggers you. Or I notice when this comes up, or when you watch something. So to me, Lenore, that's love. So love will notice things like that. Love will go further and even want to talk about it. And when people who have not been loved or have been confused by what love is because of all kinds of other trauma, including sexual, emotional, all kinds of abuse, now you come in and you introduce this type of love where you're hurting and I notice it, and it's okay, I'll be with you. Do you want to heal from it? Because I will help you. I can lead you to experts. Do you want to talk about it? Um, and, giving them a vision, letting them know that there is a way out, that they don't have to stay in that state of always being triggered or uncertain or afraid or angry or just confused. It's sad. So, to answer your question, it's to address it gently, to let them know you'll be there, or to introduce them to somebody who will help them. Don't leave them hanging.
Wow, Madonna, I love that. You said love recognizes trauma.
Oh, yeah.
And when love recognizes trauma, when a person is going through trauma, then it's very important that, for example, if I recognize someone is dealing with trauma, certain things I may say that may trigger them, it's very important that we extend that love and say, hey, are you comfortable in talking about it? And that person may say, no, I'm not comfortable in talking about it to you, but they may be willing to open up to a subject matter expert. Maybe,
Right.
a licensed clinical social worker or a therapist or a psychiatrist or even a psychologist, they may be open to speak to those individuals. So it's very important that if we meet someone and they still are dealing with the traumas of their past, then extend that opportunity to say, hey, I'm here to support you. I'm here to continue to love on you, but I also want to see you heal. And now I attended a course that Jay offered, and he talks about, the sacred box, and that sacred box are things that we don't want people to touch. So if there is something that I may mention that may be in your sacred box, and you may not be, open to say, hey, I'm willing to speak with someone, then I will back up. But if I do touch on something that's in your sacred box and you say, you know what, I am really ready to heal in this particular area of my life, because why? If I heal, now what I can do, I can reciprocate that and I can impact other people and love on them and allow them to become healed as well, instead of bleeding on that person because of issues that I have not gotten over.
Right. Right.
So that's important. So Brianna said, yes, she would love the survey, Madonna. So can you provide the name of that survey? And then I can add the link a little later on.
Yes, yes. It's called ACES, ACES. It's a survey. You can Google that. There's many surveys, but there's a particular one that I'm more biased to. I don't have on me right now, but I will definitely send that to you, Lenore. You can check.
Okay, so I definitely will make sure that gets out to everyone. And Nettie and Faith, they're watching. Joshua is saying, speak on it with the speak emojis. He also stated, definitely got to use the right keywords when trying to connect because certain words and reactions triggers a person. That is so true. That's so true. And sometimes those words can cause the things of their past to come up again. And it's like they start reliving that whole situation over again. So we do have to be very careful with our words. Even with me, I have triggers. We all have triggers. So it's very important that if you're connected with a person in a relationship, or even, my brother's a teacher, I'm sure he has to be careful in how he conveys his message to the students because certain words can possibly trigger a child. So that's important as well. Mabel said, love recognized trauma. I like that. Love is so important. It definitely is. And Joshua also says certain phrases can trigger as well. And it's time to heal. It is time to heal. As an individual, as a community, as a nation, it is time to heal. So we also have Rosarius. He says, so true. It's time to heal. Absolutely. Now, Madonna, how can a parent recognize red flags in their children or in their child? How can they notice when there's something that's a little different in their child?
Okay, so I really like that question because in order to recognize when something is not right in a person, is because a relationship was already established. And statistics show that the average communication between father and children is 6 minutes a week. 6 minutes. Maybe for the mothers and the children, twice that, 20 minutes, if that. So, what's going on is a lack of communication in the household.
Mm.
And the reason why this trauma is becoming more and more prominent or aware of is because finally people are noticing, like, what's this behavior about? Like, I've learned with ABC, all behavior communicates. So how would a parent know is if a behavior that they didn't exhibit before, now they're doing, that's a red flag. That needs to be addressed. Whether if they were once talkative, now quiet, or whether they were quiet, now talkative, um, they hurt themselves, they isolate, they're overeating, they're watching things, they would rather not pay attention. These are all things that children are communicating that they cannot really say. And so it's up to parents to ask, to take time to sit down and ask what is going on, what happened. And if the child is not ready, to let them know, I'm always here for you. Do you want to write it down? Do you want to text it? Do you want to color it? Do you want to say record it? There's always a way for the child to have an outlet because their outlet is already through their behavior. And rather than punishing them and finding out what's wrong with them, find out what happened. Something happened. Something terrible happened. And a lot of grown-ups right now, nobody really took the time to ask them what happened to them. So there's a little girl, a little boy in every person that's been hurt. And that little girl, that little boy is still waiting for somebody to address it. Yeah.
Madonna, let
Yes.
me just raise my glass because you really poured on that one. Oh my goodness. If you are listening tonight, Madonna she's been saying things so profound, but she just stated that there is a little boy and a little girl in all of us. So if you're an adult, there's a little boy or girl still inside of you that have never been addressed with whatever issue it is. No one ever said, well, what happened? And after they say, well, what happened? If you feel comfortable enough to share, then how can I help you? How can we heal from this so that it will not continue to show up in your life? That, oh my gosh, Madonna, I love that. And not only that, but you said this. You said that fathers spend at least 6 minutes. You said a week or a day?
A week.
What was
You
it?
can look it
A
up.
week.
Google that. A week. Yeah.
A week. Mothers, 20 minutes. Talk to your children. We talked about that on the last podcast about the importance of that interaction between parents and their children. Oh my goodness, that was so much. But I want to say something here. It says, Kim says, I'm a little late, but you have to know your triggers and anticipate your response when you may encounter those who hurt you. Key is to anticipate your reaction. It will save you from trauma. Absolutely, Kim. You're right about that. Brianna said yes, and Wazaria said facts. I agree. And Lenore Pours, don't assume what is happening with your child. Ask what is going on with your child. That is so very, very important. And as you stated, Madonna, sometimes children aren't able to articulate what's going on with them. So sometimes you may have to give them a piece of paper and give them a pencil and tell them, hey, just feel free to write out your feelings, or give them a marker and a piece of paper and allow them to draw out their feelings. And it will basically show to the parents or to their aunt or their uncle, grandmothers, because there's different family members who are raising children now. It will show to that adult what is going on with their child.
Yes. Yes.
That's Go ahead, Madonna.
I was saying address it, because when you do that to a little child, to your little child with the little things, say for example, if they're coming in and they're crying because they hurt themselves, but you didn't see it, and now you're addressing their wound or their pain and you help them fix it. When they get older with bigger problems, probably things that they're scared to talk about, they're more comfortable because you help them with the little things. But if it was always like, oh, fix yourself, don't worry about it, get over it, don't expect them to come to you for big stuff. They'll go to somebody else. And sometimes that somebody else doesn't love your child just as much and can mislead them. So that's sad to me.
So it's very important not just to brush our children off, or brush our nieces off, or brush our nephews off. Because again, aunties and cousins, older cousins, they play roles in, their younger siblings or cousins' life as well. So it's very important when they come to you with an issue to open up your ears and listen first, and then speak and provide some type of resolution for the particular problem.
Right.
That's important. That's important, because if they feel brushed off, like you said, when those bigger things appear, they're not even going to want to have a conversation with you.
Nope.
And that's just not with children. That's with adults too, right?
Right. Right.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So when that happens, it's like how I'm gonna go back to our relationship, right? Building credibility with each other, okay? And the reason why our friendship, I'll use us as an example again, has developed and grown over the years, is because we understand each other's values, each other's priorities, um, principles, and there's respect. So it's easy. It's easy to keep maintaining that friendship. And then when we become vulnerable and share things, that's a risk, but you're willing to take it. And then once you recognize that there's trust there, there's still respect, there's still support. Maybe there's still not, I'm not quite understanding, but I'm still here to be your friend. It develops over time. And then on another side, when you have met somebody and you want to develop a friendship with them, but you bring something up and they brush it off, or you say something and they're too selfish to notice your pain or what you're going through, then more than likely that will just fall to the wayside. That's just somebody you just met and they're not a good friend for that purpose. I find that friendships help challenge you, help build you, develop self-awareness, provide vision, provide accountability, It's all of that. You know, it's not just happy-go-lucky thing all the time. It's not
Mm-hmm.
always positive, positive, because
Mm-hmm.
if that were the case, then one of us is lying, right?
Right.
But we come to the point where like, no, we're gonna get real with this. And so when I find that, I hold on to it. I value that because again, not everybody is ready to hear your trauma or understand where you come from, and that's okay. Then
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. Now you can say, okay, this is just as far as I'm going to go with you. You're still great. I love your company, but as far as deep with healing within, I'll find somebody else. Or as a Christian, God, prayer. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we all have different levels and depths of relationships, and you know why, and I know why. Everybody here is listening knows why they're closer to somebody else versus another. It's because something came up that was very vulnerable, sensitive, and that other person was willing to hear and listen. It's so yeah, it's just the way it is.
It is. Yeah, oh my God, that was good. I'm gonna read some more of these comments here. It says, don't assume what is happening with your child. Ask what is going on for your child. I think I read that earlier, but I just want to reiterate it again. And Brianna said, Miss Madonna say things so elegantly. Girl, doesn't she know? That's why she's been my friend since like the early
Thank you,
2000s.
Madonna.
Oh my goodness. And another thing I want to add, Madonna was one of my bridesmaids in my wedding. And one thing I just want to let ladies know, whenever you get married, just don't have a whole lot of ladies that you just want to be your bridesmaid. Get you somebody that can literally support you not only on that particular day, but throughout your relationship. Now, I'm not telling you to divulge all your business. No. I'm talking about somebody who can really say, Lenore, get it together. Let's pray about this thing. No, this is what you need to do. So I had a very small, elegant wedding and a few ladies that was part. And these are individuals that I can continue to reach out to up until this day. So I just want to put that out there. That's a side note, but I just want to say that. All right. Kim said, there's a child's voice in us that wants to be heard. Thank you for speaking of this. That's good, Lenore. Poor. Great idea to draw a picture. Good stuff. Sherry said, this is too good of information to keep to yourself. Share with someone. Y'all, please share this, this broadcast. Karen says, amen, be a listening ear. Roderick is on as well. And Mallory Williams said, even animals need to feel valued. The value of life is priceless. Absolutely. They want to feel love. They want to feel value. And even an animal, when they feel love, what will they do, Madonna? They will come and cuddle with you and be right up under you and protect you. They'll put on that protection instinct. That's an animal.
Yeah.
So what more should we do for a human? We have to value them too. Now, all humans can't cuddle with us. We know that, okay? But they will respect us. They will love us. They will appreciate us for the things that we bring to the table. So that was a good point, Mallory. Brianna said, my bridesmaids will be few in number, child, and I'm going to be one, so make sure. Wazaria said, this is really good. Well, his sisters are on. This is really good for me and Faith. We're enjoying this. So I'm glad that you all are enjoying this because it's very important. And as Mabel said, there's so much silent pain. There's so many people that are out here hurting and they feel like they cannot talk to anyone because they feel like they're going to be judged. I hate to use that word because I think it's just misuse across standard, and I'm not going to go on a soapbox about that word. But my thing is, it's very important that we reach out and be that listening ear for someone. And if they do come to us, then that means that they seek some type of counsel and feel like we can be a confidant to them. And it's very important that we don't betray that trust.
Right.
Because once that trust is betrayed, then that person is like, okay, here's another trauma that I have to deal with. Talk about the feeling of betrayal and how that can impact someone's life, Madonna.
Before I go on that, Lenore, if I can add to that, when you talked about
Sure.
judge and condemn, so
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that, yeah, people don't like that word judge. And
Mm-hmm.
some can interpret that as condemning, right? So don't judge
Right.
me. But no, in the word, because if you read the word, it says to judge righteously. When you're biased, it is a preference based on a judgment. So we have to learn not to be biased. With that, we want to make sure that when we talk to people and they say, don't judge me, to let them know I'm not condemning you, right?
Mm.
This is an assessment, this is an evaluation. If you want to heal, this is what I see, this is what I see, this is what I see. Is this true? Is this true? Is this true? And it's like unfolding a plan, or how do you put it, a pathway in their maze or in their confusion of life, and say, this is not condemnation. Because condemnation is like, there's no hope for you, this is it. No. A judgment is like, this is what's happening. If you continue this route, you're going to go towards being condemned. Or something like you brought up with betrayal and stuff like that. So, to segue into that now,
Before you segue, Madonna, before you segue,
what?
I just want to re-emphasize everybody who listens to this live, and when you listen to the replay, make sure that you press play and listen to her definition of judgment. Rewind it, listen to her definition of judgment, rewind it again, and listen to it at least 3 times until it marinates. Because I'm so serious. That word is just like it's just so, I think, misunderstood, but you just broke it down in the most simplistic way. But again, it's up to everyone to interpret it the way they're going to interpret it. But the way you just broke it down, Madonna, is the way that I look at it as well. So I just want to highlight that. So you can now segue into that other question that I proposed a little bit earlier.
No, you're good. You're good. Thank you. So, as far as betrayal, you can only betray somebody who's a friend, because there's no such thing as betraying an enemy, right? So what the sad part of that now is this change in the relationship. Because when you betray somebody, that just means you are now once friends, now you're enemies, just like that. So to go back to being friends is going to be another road, another journey, where now it takes both. Um, so I have learned that forgiveness is one-sided, reconciliation is two-sided. Um, the one betrayed can forgive, but to reconcile means, am I going to receive that person back into my life? Meaning, are we going to go have lunch again? Are we going to go on car rides again? Are we going to take the time to go shopping again? Are we going to go play golf again? See, it changes everything. So, all I could say is, if you have been betrayed or if you have betrayed somebody, make sure that there's forgiveness there on your part. And if it's not on the others, that's okay. That's it's not your problem. It's not my problem. You've done your part. Reconciliation, however, there's some people who disrespect or say, I thought you said you forgave me. We can't do this again. We can't do that again. And that's okay, because you have to have boundaries with some people who haven't learned not to do that again. They will do it again and again and again. And that's part of, I say, praying for wisdom as far as friendships with people who continue to disrespect or continue to go over those clear boundaries or clear barriers. And it's time to end things. So those are two things for me when it comes to betrayal. Make sure there's forgiveness. If there's reconciliation on both parts, great. If not, you got to let it be. Let it go. It's
I love that.
the way it is.
I love that, because sometimes people feel like just because they forgive, they got to do all those other things. Like, hey, we back in, cahoots. We're going to hang together. We're going to do this together. We're going to do that together. But if that's not part of that process, then it's okay to forgive and to move on from that once was relationship where you guys may have did all those things together. So I love that. That's very, very key, because sometimes people think that they're going to, pick up where it left off at. No, because some situations it changes the dynamics of a relationship. And it's okay. It's okay. I can forgive you and I can continue to move on with my life and not pick up from where we left off.
Right.
And be okay with that.
Right. There's no anger. There's no lingering anger. There's no plan to get back at them. There's no wounded spirit where people know that I've been wounded and I'm going to carry it with me and people's going to have to try to heal me. No, it's done. It's okay. It's okay. People got to give themselves permission to keep moving forward, no matter what. Do you. Whatever other people do, that's on them.
Did y'all just hear what Madonna said? She said, give yourself permission to move forward. That means you have to say, yes, I've been betrayed. Yes, I've been talked about. Yes, whatever your situation may have been or you have experienced, you have to say, okay, it happened. Now I give myself permission to move forward because it's a journey. I think Kim said that earlier. It's a journey. And with life on this journey, there are going to be certain things that we experience and it's going to hurt. Oh my goodness. I mean, we'll be here tomorrow morning talking about all the hurt that we've, experienced. If me and Madonna sit here and talk about it, I know y'all log off, but we're not even going to do that. But what I'm saying is all of us have experienced some level of hurt. And it's so important that we heal from that hurt and say, okay, Lenora, now it's time for you to move forward. Don't sit here and have a pity party and waddle in your sadness. It's time for you to bootstrap, get yourself together, forgive, and move on. That's very important. Kim also said, have boundaries and forgive. Wisdom will lead. It sure will. It sure will. Wisdom is everything. If you don't have it, you better pray about it and ask God to give you some money because it is priceless. And she also said, no, we won't pick up from where we left off. All forgiven, but the pain will always remain in my head, which proves our relationship gets the side eye. Bye, Felicia. Yes. I can see Kim now. Yes. Giving him the side eye. Lord have mercy. And Mabel said, it's okay to move on, move forward. Absolutely. Wazarius, probably Nettie and Faith said, we need to give ourselves a chance with moving forward. Look at them children. These are children watching Madonna, and they just said that so profound. We need to give ourselves a chance with moving forward. So they're reiterating what you just stated. So you're even telling them, okay, even in school, you're going to feel betrayed. You're going to be, experience certain things, but it's okay. Right. You can move forward from this.
Right.
Sometimes completing the healing process consists of giving yourself permission to move forward and releasing yourself from damaged people. Oh my goodness. Yes. Because damaged people. Heal people do what, Madonna? Heal people do what? We heal people. Yeah. Heal people. So Madonna and I, we do our best to stay in that healing space so we can continue to allow the energy to resonate on the people that we meet, and they can say, wow, there is something different about them. That person gives off an aroma of healing. Not an aroma of bitterness, an aroma of hate, an aroma of deception, but an aroma of healing, an aroma of love, peace, joy, happiness, and all of those positive attributes. So it's very important that you give off that aroma. So I'm going to ask you a question, audience, those who are listening in and those who will watch the replay. What aroma are you giving off? Think about it. I know you can't chime in and get on the screen, but just think about that. That's powerful. All right, and let's see here. We got some more comments. Every ship has season. The key is moving on. Absolutely. And some ships have sails, so don't go out there on that ocean trying to chase that ship because you may just drown trying to chase that ship. Because why? A ship goes out in that deep water. You may can swim a little bit, but your swimming skills may not get you out there in that deep water. You're going to find yourself somewhere out there and you're going to drown. So don't even go there. Just allow that ship to continue to sail. Good stuff. Brianna's laughing. Some more comments here. And hashtag let's heal. Oh my goodness. That can be the anthem for the year of 2021. Brianna McKeever coined it. Let's heal. Let's heal. All right, Madonna. Here's another comment. Madonna, Kim said, give yourself permission to move on. You are only holding yourself back if you stay and linger in it. Get up from it and prove them wrong. You owe it to yourself to begin again and killing it through your pain. Poor Lenore and Madonna. Come on, Madonna. We got a whole lot of cups up, honey. Yes, we are pouring, and y'all are pouring too. I'm feeling the aroma of love. Yes, honey. You feeling it tonight. You feel it tonight. Pour, sisters, pour. Listen, that's good. What aroma are you giving out? Great question to reflect on. That's right. I want you all to really think. Think about, even today, just think about, what aroma did I give off today? What aroma did I give off? Did I give off a negative aroma? If so, kill it. Don't allow that aroma to follow you on tomorrow. You got to let it go. Let's heal. Absolutely. Mom and Dad are watching. Thank you, Mama. My mama, Queen Esther Dawson, and my father, Theo Frank Dawson. I gave out their whole government names. Lord have mercy. But they're not on social media, so you can't find them. I know where they live at, though. Thank you so much for watching, Mom and Dad. The pour is just love. Absolutely. Pour love. That's right, Nettie and Faith. They're on Wazaria's Facebook, but pour love. That's so true. And I'm going to work on my aroma. Thank you, Chanel. Thank you for being so transparent. We all have to work on our aroma, because even with me, I go through life situations, and guess what? Sometimes aroma wants to permeate. That's not a positive aroma. Talk about your aroma, Madonna. I've been talking for the last couple of minutes. Chime in.
No, the reason why I'm saying that is because the means to an end is to heal, is because then you're more productive, you're less selfish, you're more able to contribute, you're more able to produce and reproduce. You know, you're more able to help others and bless others. Whereas if you're hurting, it's not a bad thing. I'm not knocking down people who are hurting. What I'm saying is, if you're hurting and you're not in a productive mode, you're not doing anything, you're not contributing, it's because you need to pay attention to yourself. You need to pay attention, go find expert help, forgive yourself, forgive others, and then you can, be a part of the group of people who are healing or healed because they have overcome trauma but choose to bless and use the talents and the gifts that they have. As long as we're hurting and we have not healed, it's hard to help others. That's where I'm coming from. So that aroma for me is, you're reminding me, Lenora, because over here, sis, you know how we wear leis, the Hawaiian lei? And I remember this one guy was saying, some of y'all walk around like your leis are old and they stink bad because your face looks all tight.
Say what?
So I was laughing. I said, you know what? That is so true. So when you said that, it's like, ever since I heard him say that, I remember to keep myself saying, I have a lei that smells good, not one that is old. I have a lei that smells good, that when I pass people, they can smell it, they can sense it. My expressions, my tone of voice, my words, everything is just sweet, or it's encouraging, or it's kind, or it's motivating, or it's inspirational. But when I know that I feel like I have a bunch of leis that are just old and rotted and I'm in a bad mood, I try to tell myself, okay, don't go outside. Don't say anything. Do you need to eat? Do you need to sleep? What made you mad? Like all this self-assessment thing, because it's real.
It is real. It's real. It's real. Yeah. Absolutely. And Sherry said, if you don't wash, you will have a bad aroma and people around can tell. Absolutely, which means it's time to freshen up. And some of us need to freshen up our attitude. Absolutely. We need to freshen up our joy. We need to freshen up those things that the world would try to rob us of, and it don't even belong to them. It don't even belong to them. So freshen up in that particular area.
Every day.
Every day. Kim said, remember those 5 senses. They are part of the aroma. Absolutely, yes, Kim, they are a part of that aroma. And we got to make sure we use them and not ignore them, because a lot of times that gut feeling, that's the right feeling. People say gut, I say discernment. I say discernment, that wisdom from God. He give it to us. use it. He gave us the five senses, so it's important that we allow them to operate. Because if I taste something, like I have this water here, in this water, there's some limes. If I bite on that lime, it's going to have a little bitterness. So my sense of taste is telling me that water is bitter. My sense of myself, when I am not right, maybe I'm on a little different side. If I'm bitter, I need to get better.
Yes.
I need to drop the I-T-T-E-R and add the E-T-T-E-R and become better. See, one letter can change a word.
That's a
Remove
personal
the I.
responsibility.
Personal responsibility, sure enough.
Yeah.
Kim said, pay attention to yourself, Madonna. That she didn't rename you, girl. She didn't give you the L.
I'll take Madonna.
That is a word. She said, snap, 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 snap. 3 snaps, honey. Absolutely. Sherry said, bad aroma give off a stink attitude. It sure does. And when you have an attitude like that, people do not want to be around you. Right? Madonna, if I had an attitude, would you want to even be connected to me?
No.
No. And if you had one, I wouldn't want to be connected to you.
Exactly.
Now, we all go through certain situations, and I would say a stink attitude, because I was thinking the other day, it's okay to have an attitude. If it's a positive attitude, if it's a go get it attitude, if it's a I'm not giving up attitude, it's okay to have those type of attitudes. The attitudes that you don't want to have is the nasty attitudes, the bitter attitudes, the world is against me type attitudes. Those are the attitudes that you need to change and get that healing so that you can transition to those most positive attributes.
Yes, yes.
All right. We got some more. Go ahead.
Those bad attitudes, those, to me, that I found the common denominator of that is they're not teachable. They don't have humility. So it's hard. I think that's why we connected, is because we're both teachable, right? We're willing to submit or listen and say, hey, you got a point on that, or I can learn from that. The ones that I've had a hard time working with are the ones who are not teachable. The ones that are like, you can't tell me nothing. Okay, then go, because I'm not going to waste my time. You know, go out, go find somebody who will tell you something. Our life is going to do it for you. So part of that is, again, the bad attitude is, like you said, it's okay to have different attitudes, because sometimes we need that, especially against certain people. But if it's a pattern, and I found that it's the way people talk too. If you have a problem with your life, what are you saying? What's the attitude you're giving off? Because it's from within. We can't blame the outside. We got to check ourselves within.
So it's time for a self-checkup, audience. I'm talking to myself as well. It's time for a self-checkup, because a lot of times we want to blame everybody else. And we know that there's other factors that may contribute to things, but sometimes we need to do a self-assessment. What's going on with me? What do I need to improve? How do I need to change my outlook on certain issues? Because we can be our biggest hindrance, right, Madonna?
Yes. I like your questions, Lenore. The other question I like to ask myself is, how many people were better off today because I lived? How many people were worse off today because I lived? How many people are miserable because I said something? How many people are happy? So again, it's a deliberate self-awareness that we are powerful human beings. Our aroma, our words, our everything about us either contributes or contaminates other people. We need to recognize that. And then for us, being the receptors of others, we need to put up walls and block people, or have that Lysol spray to spray stuff away.
Madonna, I just love what you just said. You said our words can contaminate people.
Yeah.
And when something is contaminated, you don't want it.
You don't. People cut that off. You know, when people have a cancer or something is not right on their body, it's amputated. So when something's not right with a person and their being, their energy, you got to cut it off. Run away, cut off the communication, because it can contaminate. Yeah.
It can contaminate and it can drain you. And I don't care how strong you are. If you constantly are connected with some people who are always complaining and finding fault in every single thing, and they up one day, down the next, up one day, down. You're like, what am I dealing with? And you'll be like, you know what? I'm just going to back up. I don't even want to be in this. I don't care if it's a friendship, if it's a relationship, courtship, whatever the ship is. Okay, I'm just going to put it like that. Whatever the ship is. If contamination and all those things are on that ship, you getting off. Yeah. Even a regular ship, if you're about to go, for an example, go on a cruise, right? And if there are some type of things going on with that ship, what would they do? Are they going to sail with all them people on that ship? No, they're going to move them people off that ship into a what? Another ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes you got to shift and move some things around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Let's read these comments because we are actually at the top of the hour. Sherry said, come through. Lord, she didn't gave you a title, Madonna.
No, I only know Prophetess Queen. That's the only one I know.
All right. And that's my mama.
Yes.
Kim said, we need a fresh wind. You all are on the Journey CD. Come on now. Discernment operate tonight. That's right. And that's from Kim Madonna Person. She is a 2-time Stellar Award nominee and all these other accolades. Make sure that you go online and order her CD, The Journey, which features the song Fresh Wind. Yes. And Sherry said, come near me, you're going to get sprayed. You hear that, Kim? And she will, honey. That thing was sprayed because she got a sensitive nose, believe it or not. Brianna said, wow, imagine posing those questions to pursue daily. I'm sure will push us further to our purpose. Absolutely, Brianna, we have to ask ourselves those questions. And Nettie and Faith, being disobedient is ugliness. And our grandma always used to say, God don't like ugliness. He sure don't, honey. He sure don't.
He doesn't.
Mabel said, cut it off. Absolutely. And those are those statements that was made earlier. So Madonna, we're at the top of the hour and we got to come to a close, right? It went by so fast. It went by so fast. But before we end, I would like for you, 1, to give some words of inspiration in your closing. And 2, I want you to challenge the audience, give them a pouring challenge on something that they can do.
Okay, so I think a thought of inspiration based on what we talked about is when you are conflicted, listen to it, address it, and be okay with it. Be okay with it. And then you will find resolution once you just address it. Everybody goes through conflict. Something to pour into is having more self-awareness that you were born, because I'm getting this from the Lord, it's just coming to me. You were born with a purpose. And using what her platform is as far as pouring, you and I are pouring every day. And we're pouring from a healed premise or a hurt premise, or sometimes a mixture of it. We can determine how much healing we want to pour out based on first healing ourselves. Because like that old saying, we cannot give what we do not have. And if all you have is hurt, I am the type willing to help you if you're willing to be healed. Not just talk about your hurt every single year or every single day. If you're not willing to be healed, that's when I would tell my friends, you got to move on, because that thing will drain. There's something about energy that is real. And before you know it, you're upset and you don't know why. So that's why it's good to assess yourself daily from where you're coming from. Work on yourself so that you can work with others.
Madonna, thank you so much. Brianna have added the cup emojis. Honey, you pour tonight. Sister, you pour tonight. I pour, you pour, sister pour into me. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Make sure that you share this on your Facebook page. Share it in your groups. Share it with someone, because they really can obtain some sort of healing. They can obtain healing. They can take the initial steps to heal. Because why? Heal people, and just know you were born for a purpose, and that purpose is to pour into the lives of others. And until next time, keep pouring. Madonna, stay on. Take care, everyone.